Jason Davis and Alexi Lalas here. The U.S. men's national team lost to Brazil in Foxborough 4-1, and we've got some questions. Alexi, let's start with this one. Is Jurgen Klinsmann the right coach for the U.S. men's national team right now?
Well, I would have changed out after the World Cup because I believe that after a cycle like that, you should always change out, regardless of how well or poorly that you do. So if the question is right now, is Jurgen Klinsmann the right coach? No, I don't think so.
I'm with you on that. I don't think that he's got them playing good soccer. They've obviously taken a step back with their results. I don't think it's okay for the United States to lose in the semifinals of the Gold Cup. Question number 2. If Jurgen Klinsmann left the job today, who would you choose to replace him?
Well, you're going to have your usual suspects. So you're going to have all the young guns with your Jason Kreis and your Greg Berhalter. I think actually a lot of people look at Greg Berhalter as kind of fitting the mold of a national team coach for a younger player. And then you'll have your older, Ziggy Schmidt hasn't had that job yet. I doubt he would be considered. And then Bruce Arena. But if I had to do anybody right now, given the fact that we're about to go into qualifying, you'd go and try to get Bruce Arena back into that job.
Okay. That's obviously a solid choice. He knows the lay of the land. He knows how to get good performances out of American players. I'm going to go with a different guy. I'm going to pick Peter Vermees, a guy with a clear idea of how he wants to play. Would he run exactly the same sort of system with the U.S.? I don't know, but I think he's capable of turning a ship around that right now seems to be headed in the wrong direction. After the loss to Brazil, do you think the United States is too reliant on Clint Dempsey?
Too reliant? I mean, whenever I hear anybody talk about a team being too reliant on a player, it makes me laugh because if you're relying on him, then he's good. Now,
That's right.
The problem is if you're so reliant on him that without him you are a complete shell of your former self, that's a problem. I don't think that's the case with Clint Dempsey. So I don't think that we rely on him too much. He's an incredibly gifted athlete that does stuff, to quote Bruce Arena. And when he's out there on the field, you expect him to do stuff. So that's where the reliance comes. But it doesn't mean that the U.S. can't win without Clint Dempsey. And they're going to have to make sure that they find a way to do that going forward because Clint is only getting older.
Absolutely. The age thing is part of the factor and part of the worry. How do you replace his influence? But, this is the traditional turn that comes through we go through generations and new players come to the fore, and hopefully you've got somebody who can step into those shoes and be the guy who, as the famous quote, as Bruce Arena says, tries and does things that maybe spark a team that has gotten a little lackluster at times. All right. With this game coming up against Mexico on October 10th, here's a question. You've been named Klinsmann's replacement. Who do you start at center back on October 10th?
I start, well, look, when it comes to the center back position or the back four in general, which we know is just a carousel right now of players coming in and out, the reason why it is that nobody's better or worse than anybody else. So I go with 4 and I stick with 4. My 4 would be on the right-hand side, Fabian Johnson. In the middle, it would be Omar Gonzalez and Matt Besler. And on the left-hand side, it would be, for this game against Mexico, I would go with DeMarcus Beasley.
Okay, I think I'm with you on all of that. I like the combination of Besler and Gonzalez. I don't know if that's just a conservative streak, older, more experienced guys. It's not that Alvarado doesn't have talent. It's not that John Brooks doesn't have a significant amount of talent. But if I'm playing Mexico with something important on the line, much less the normal pride that comes with that game, I think I want 2 guys who have been in that fire before. And, the mistakes are going to come. It's whether or not you have the group that can cover for those mistakes. Didn't include the fullbacks here. You answered that question. Those are the 2 guys Klinsmann has identified as his fullbacks, so I think we can expect them, if healthy, to start against Mexico. And I guess they're the best of the bunch right now. All right. Is the U.S. player pool better or worse than it was 5 years ago?
Better. But the question has to be, and this is when we assess Klinsmann, look, I don't think that he's done anything revolutionary. There has been, or evolutionary, and any type of evolution that's happened, I think it's just been, would it have happened with or without him? So it's just a natural type of progression that's happened. And I think that you can make the argument that it is just a natural type of progression. I do think that the program, if Jurgen Klinsmann were to go away today, he's leaving it in a better position than when he took it over, and that is good. But he certainly hasn't lived up And this is where the debate really is, to the promise that he has made of a more proactive, a more definitive, more possession-oriented type of play. I just look at this team at times as a better version of itself. Not always. Sometimes it's a worse version of itself. But it certainly is not this revolutionary type of play that we were promised from the start.
Now, clearly, so much the part of the reason to ask this question is because a lot of people will say, well, he's only doing the best he can with the players he's got available, that he can't make the United States into a world-class program based on talent. And that's a fair argument, but that doesn't mean he should be failing at the same marks that other coaches before him did, because I agree with you. I think the talent pool overall is probably better than it was 5 years ago. Is it revolutionarily better? Evolutionarily better? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that there should be a regression in the results. And it doesn't mean that he shouldn't be able to get those results while at the same time making that incremental progress that he's been talking about for the better part of 4 years now. All right, last but not least, October 10th, in one word, can the United States beat Mexico?
Yes.
I think the answer is yes, even if we're not quite sure whether or not they're going to be able to get there. All right. What are your answers to these questions? What do you think? Make sure you throw them in the comments and hit the subscribe button.